Part 76. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 776. Among the four elemental planes, the deep rock continent is the last one to fall on the main material plane. Its position is undoubtedly in the underground, in the dark area, and it is more coincident that the elves are together. Just below the islands. The king of the evil spirit, Diolos, not only fully integrated the dwarves, but also turned them into their own slaves. It is also a good understanding of the current pattern of the Orient world. When the deep rock continent came, he did not hesitate to launch the fire element of the army began an expedition to the deep rock of the continent. In any case, Zai must try to stop the king of the evil spirit. He also has his own appeals to the world of fire and earth, and there is no accident. It is not only the three elements of the king who are involved in this elemental battle, at least there will be ground snakes in the dark areas, dark elves, and the master behind them, Rose. The war has developed to this day. It can be said that only the spiders of the entire Dark Parliament have paid a lot but almost nothing, and the Dark Council promised to give her the northern land is now the territory of the king of the evil spirits, so that now the Spider Rose has not yet obtained even a piece of land on the ground. Such a demigod, known for its insidiousness, revenge, and madness, is absolutely impossible to accept such an ending. Zai and Chromie have come all the way and have observed the dark elf army that has been assembled. They will practice. The will of Rose after the spider brings more variables to the battle of this element. There is a battle in front, the two went together, but they saw a rare scene. A whole dark elf army was besieging a ranger squad. Yes, it was the white-skinned relatives of their surface, the elves of the island. I thought that even if the end of the world, the elves would not hesitate to shrink in the Yangju island, Zai said with a smile. The last time I went to the Elven Kingdom was 850 years ago. Since the rebellion of the spider, the elves almost never left the Yangju island. Chromie observed the badges and decorations on this elf squad. This is the elite ranger of the Windrunner family, and the one who wears the blue cloak should be this ranger general. The Windrunner is a member of the Moon Elf, and is the best of the entire elf race in archery and hunting. The leading ranger general has a tall figure of nearly 2 meters, and the lines are full of smooth beauty, both strength and agility. Her rank is above the legend. What is even more striking is the silver longbow in her hand. Every energy arrow carries the silver moon power. No dark elf can resist the power of her hand. The ability to show it is at least a super strong half artifact. In less than a quarter of an hour, more than 200 dark elves almost died. Even if they became horrible spiders, they could not break the enemy. The curse of the dark elves priest was also easily taken by the ranger general's half artifact. Resist down. It's really a one-sided battle. Who is there? General Ranger's signature long ears swayed, and the silver longbow in his hand was already in the position of Siv and Chromie. Obviously she heard the presence of outsiders with far-flung tricks. Zai and Chromie looked at each other and changed directly into the form of the Japanese elf. He wore a silver blue mage robe with 2 elements in his head. Chromie also became the Japanese elf, and she stood quietly beside Zai. You are the general of the ranger? Who are you singing? Yanga is my mother. General Ranger saw the 2 long elves and then put away the longbow in his hand. Who are you? How have I not seen you? I have a name, called Claudia Quicksand, Chromie said with a smile. The sage of the time, General Ranger said with a few surprises, you have disappeared for 800 years, I did not expect to see you here. Your Excellency, you are also investigating the huge changes in the underground of Yangju Island. I haven't told you your name, little girl. Chromie seemed to be in a memory. Is the little queen okay? The sage is the honorary name of the elves with great wisdom, or a very high elf in the martial arts. The entire elves are still active. Only 3 are left. I didn't expect to be here. Sage, the young ranger general replied happily, I am Alyria, the eldest daughter of the Windrunner family, her voice gradually sinking down, the Queen has not publicly issued a decree for a long time, only the day and night banquet, dance, and play. So, is it your own decision to leave Yeongju Island this time? Chromie continued to ask. Yes. Since the sun in the sky has become dim, the whole world is undergoing dramatic changes. Many of us are very concerned, but the Queen is unmoved. If it is not this dramatic change in the underground, Yeongju Island, there have been many traps, and I can't find an excuse to come out, said General Ranger, named Aurelia, with some concerns. It's really drunk and dreaming, Chromie shook his head. After the catastrophe, did Ms Yunyu not drop any gods? It's been 300 years, and Ms Yunyu hasn't had any gods to drop. Aurelia's eyes suddenly showed hope. You must know the changes in the outside world. It's really a vicissitude, for the elves who have lived for thousands of years or even thousands of years. The catastrophe of the catastrophe has only been a flick of the past 2 years, and the changes in the world have been earth-shaking. Chromie directly infused a large piece of information into God's mind. So much information made Aurelia somewhat embarrassed. In just 2 years, the devil has wiped out almost all human kingdoms. The cave of Yeongju Island is due to the return of the earth element plane Deep Rock, and the king of the evil spirit, Diolos, has launched a new elemental battle, which will determine the ownership of the element. If Diolos wins, then it will become the of the elements, even with Ms Yunyu. Zai Wei said, "We are going to stop Diolos's ambition." Zai Wei hopes that the Ranger General can quickly go back to the message, let the Luosi succeed, and the Elf Queen who likes to open the day and dreams of the opening is also rushing to start. At least the elves and demons, the dark elves and even the king of the evil spirits are deadly enemies. I must inform Her Majesty the Queen as soon as possible, but... Alleria gave a little hesitation for a moment, and she handed the badge on her chest to a moon elf that was similar to her. The sage of the time, this is my sister, Wen Lisa. I will let her return to Yeongju Island with other rangers. Can you personally write an information to the Queen? So what about you? Zai Wei launched a transmission spell, and sent these elf rangers to the surface, outside the lock of the island. I want to join you to fight together and stop Diolos, otherwise it will bring destruction to the world. Alleria clenched the silver longbow in her hand. This is the Silver Moon Elegy. Elena gives the Wind Runner the artifact of the family. With her companionship, I will be your good helper. Silver Moon Elegy has a very powerful anti-defense effect, enough to cause damage to anyone under the shrine. Chromie introduced to Zai Wei. The moon elf holding the artifact? A good helper, Zai Wei nodded. This is, Alleria is somewhat puzzled. It seems that the two sages of the two elves are actually not headed. He is the Eternal of Eluna, and Elena's grace is 3 years ago. Chromie smiled and said, Mage Zai Wei. Mrs Silver Moon's Eternal. Alleria was shocked. I knew that Elena had no gods for 300 years. The Eternal is almost equal to his chosen people. Zai Wei did not hesitate to display the glory of the moon god, and sprinkled the faint silver moon clear light in this dark area, demonstrating the unique ability of his silver moon. From the integration of various intelligences, Ms Silver Moon, the first in the world of Orient, undoubtedly got into a big trouble, and she came to Elanti from a different world and was largely taken care of by her. In doubt, Zai Wei has a great affection for Ms Yunyu, so she is also friendly to these elves. So Zai Wei's squad added a ranger general with a handheld artifact Silver Moon Elegy. After a period of fast travel, the entrance to Deep Rock's continent finally appeared in front of the three. The tens of meters high fire giant is roasting the rock on the surface of the Deep Rock with a crazy flame. It is obvious that the Stone Mother Sarah is manipulating the power of the earth to close the entrance of the plane, trying to reject the intruder outside the door. The king of the evil spirit, Diolos, has not yet come to the battlefield. These fire giants are temporarily unable to break through the Deep Rock continent, and everything is still available. Let's go see the Stone Mother. 11 Wei took the hand of Chromie, hand in hand with the Ranger General, and adjusted the heart lake to the purest earth element, and instantly passed the rock barrier and entered the deep rock interior. The stone mother Sarah first sensed the uninvited guest in the deep rock continent, and soon a huge rock giant rolled up the flow of stones. Strange, tell me your identity. I control the origin of the water and the origin of the wind. I will help the stone mother to fight against Diolos. The two elements of the ball at the top of Zyway are the pure source of water and the source of the wind, which proves that he has no false words. So the three people of Zyway came to the earth temple in the center of the deep rock, the residence of the stone mother Sarah. You are Master Savi. Oryxa told me about your existence. I want to thank you for defeating Kanoya, so that the water elemental plane will not fall into the hands of this evil woman. Very honest, she is the embodiment of the rock, the master of the earth. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 777. The mother-in-law's attitude towards Zyway was alienated and there was not much enthusiasm. It is also easy to understand that the four elements of the king can be said to be natural gods, born with the power of the source, and have a long life and a long history. Human beings are really just small ants for them, even if it is the leader of mankind is nothing but a strong ant. After archaeological identification, the history of Orient has gradually unveiled the mysterious veil in front of the magician, and the conclusion is explosive. The history of mankind is less than 5,000 years, and the whole face of Orient is located. It has not been 100,000 years since its birth. It is necessary to know that in the world of Zyway, the earth that gave birth to human beings has a history of 4.6 billion years, and it took a long period of more than 1 million years for mankind to develop from primitive people to establish the Star River Federation in the universe. But Orient is not the same. Almost all intellectual life is inseparable from a existence, that is, Ms. Silver Moon Elena. Elves, dwarves, humans, orcs, gnomes, and even other races have a close or distant relationship with Eluna from the time of the ignorance, except that the creatures of the dragon and the demon migrated from a world outside of Orient. Come. From the perspective of civilization, the world of Orient is still in a period of rapid development, but now, there is a danger of overturning, whether it is to seek the king of the evil spirits to conquer all the planes of the elements, or to pick the abyss of the starting times. The demon, behind a total of invisible hands are manipulating something, and Elena seems to be in a very bad state. Zyway was in a polite state under the watchfulness of Shinyan. It was not long before Zyway saw the trace of the king of the wind, Olaxa, and the army of his lords. It is clear that this time the king of the stone mother and the wind again worked together to resist the attack of the king of fire. 2 days later, the king of the evil spirit, Diolos, left the source of the fire and came to the entrance of the deep rock. He lifted the hand of Saphras in his hand and knocked all the rock barriers with the most horrible flame. The earth and the wind could not stop him from advancing. The deep rock continent finally became the battlefield of elements. The three-dimensional battlefield helped the Stone Mother and the King of the Wind to fight in several battlefields. The performance was not warm and the fire was not too prominent. The strength of the army of the flames was endless, and the fire giants and flame creatures the single unit is very powerful, and Diolos is the enemy of two elements, still occupying the upper hand. On the third day of the war, Zyway encountered an unexpected scene, standing in a canyon in the deep rock of the continent, standing on a tower of elements. This tower is built from pure and solid ether. At present, only Zyway can do it in the entire violet. Whether it is Yang or Meryl, it is not enough to understand and control the mystery of the ether. This tower is too tall. It caused great interest in Chromie. Zyway, have you been here? I remembered an old man. Zyway first went forward. I should call him a teacher. Zyway incarnates the ether, passes through all the barriers and enchantments of this tower, and goes directly to the top control room. A middle-aged man with brown hair is waiting for him. I am very happy to see the second human being who is in control of the ultimate ambition. The middle-aged man was very happy to meet the arrival of a visitor. This is the first human being I have seen in 100 years. You can call I am Descartes. Sure enough, the original Tower of Violet was the mage tower he built. After discovering the mystery of the ether, the Descartes chose to leave. I didn't expect him to find the elemental plane, and it was 100 years. 11 Wei took out the pale gold star shuttle shoes and the purple element magic book. These two magical things have not helped him much, but he still keeps. It seems that the master tower is yours now. Descartes was more enthusiastic. He carefully looked at Ziwei, who was completely incarnate, and sincerely praised, I found this road earlier than you. But you are already ahead of me. I call it an ether. Westway did not hesitate to begin to explore the mystery of ether with Descartes. Descartes has not lost its time in the past 100 years. He has already grown to the legendary ranks. For the study of ether to embark on a different path from Ziwei, the exchanges between the two have benefited both sides. Relatively speaking, the results of Descartes bigger. In Ziwei's view, Descartes is now qualified enough to be the legendary magician. The legendary magician, Descartes first stunned, then laughed, the thick beard slammed, so I should be the seventh law. What is the title? Ziwei reveals a mysterious smile. 100 years ago, Orient had already had the seventh law, which was called the Construction Queen. I think you must know her. Constructing the Queen? Who is this? Descartes scratched his head. Didla, your old friend. Ziwei was very happy with the expression of Descartes. Oh my God! Is it her? Descartes stood up excitedly and kept picking up his footsteps. I thought she could grow to a master of magic, maybe she could make a legend. I didn't expect her to be one step ahead the title legend. When Descartes slowly calmed down, Ziwei finally said again, I think your legendary title should be called Ether Pioneer. How? Ether Pioneer? Very good title, I like it very much, but... Descartes looked at Ziwei with some hesitation, seemingly doubting his ability and appeal. Mr. Westway is the pioneer of Arcane, the chief Archean of the future. He recommended you to become the eighth law. I believe it will pass, Chromie said with a smile. In the shocked eyes of Descartes, Ziwei did not hesitate to expose the identity of Chromie. She is the founder of Copenhagen, the founder of the school, the fourth law Chromie. A living fourth law stood in front of Descartes, and he couldn't help but feel a little lost. He knew that he had always been the ultimate goal of the legendary magician, but he did not expect to wait for himself to leave the elemental plane. I have already seen the real legend. How did you get here? At the beginning, I paid a great price to sneak into the elemental plane. Descartes is like a prisoner who has just been released from prison. What has O'Brien been in for centuries? What? Chromie once again instilled memory, as the dragon of time, the manager of time, the observer of history, which is a trivial matter for her. Holocaust in the sun? Devil invasion? Elements return, Descartes as the title legend. Even if it is not much time to digest so much information, he smiled bitterly. No strangers will appear here, the original elemental plane is coming again. I have lived here for too long, and I have become completely out of the times. Next, Descartes tells about his original legendary, death, risk, death, experience. With his strong space magic ability and the keen perception of the elements of the etheric mystery, he has reached the tidal plane of the water element, the wind element. The plane in the cloud, the place of the flame element of fire, finally came to settle in the deep rock. Now the king of the evil spirit, Diolos, is attacking the deep rock continent. You have been to the four element planes. You must have the deepest understanding of Diolos. How can you defeat his offense? Ziwei began. To the elemental plane is the old driver to ask. The seal of the three major elements of the king was a torment to Diolos, but it was also a kind of temper. Descartes looked into the distance and entered the mode of memory. Diolos's control over the origin of the fire was originally in the Big Four. The head of the elemental king, After 3,000 years of no impact on the seal of the elements, he also has his own understanding of the three elements of soil, wind, and water, and the method of restraint, which will make him unfavorable in the battle of elements. If there is no external force involved, this time, Diolos is likely to win the final victory. So what can I do to completely defeat Diolos? If you just want to fight back to Los Olos to maintain the status quo, there may be other ways. Then if you want to completely defeat Diolos instead of sealing him again, then the only way is to steal the fire. Descartes tight fists. Stolen fire, Chromie did not understand. I can take you to the core of the fire source without disturbing anyone. Diolos's control of the origin of the fire is pathological, and it has exceeded 70% if he stays in the place of fire. Can also control, but when he goes out, if you want to maintain the stability of the fire source, you must leave at least 30% of the source of the fire. If you can steal this part of the fire, you can make the strength of Diolos drop. Descartes stared at Zyway, but the place of the fire is the ultimate nest of Diolos. Guardian is strict, countless powerful flame creatures guard this place, even the semi-god strong rash attack it is very likely that it will fall into it. Do you know if you dare to take this risk? Zyway and Chromie nodded after watching, which is the best way to get a win in the fire. Then please ask a few people to prepare for me here. After the battle of the three elemental kings enters the heat, they will enter the fire source, steal the origin of the fire, and finally defeat Diolos. Then Descartes asked a lot about Diola. Obviously after a long period of 100 years, this magician who had not understood the atmosphere grew a lot. Zyway also cooperated with Descartes to explore and develop many new discoveries and new spells of etheric mystery. It is rare to encounter a researcher with the same height, and time is always fast. With the continuous invasion of the flames, the intensity of the war gradually increased, and eventually it became hot. The Red Flame Army has advanced to the Temple of the Earth, and half of the plain has evolved into a sea of fire. The coalitions of rocks and sky have suffered heavy losses, and Olaxa and Sarah are already scarred in the battle with Diolos. Tired? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 778. The Temple of the Earth. At this moment, Olaxa is negotiating with Sarah. The most elite elements of their army are killed and wounded. The green gems on the chest of Oryxot are also dim. I don't seem to have seen Master Savi on the battlefield recently, Olaxa spoke. He? A small human being, it is impossible to decide the development of the battle. Stone Mother Sarah did not care. The key now is how to resist Diolos. This time he is more powerful, but we lost Knight. Javier just gave me a message. Today, I hope that we can try to drag Diolos. If you can't let him out of the battle anyway, he will surprise us. Olaxane is in the heart of this magical human mage. Still somewhat trustworthy. Dear Olos has advanced to the front of the Temple of the Earth, and there is no way to retreat. We must hold on. Sarah looked at Oryxa's look at what this optimistic human mage can bring us. Surprise. Zyway, Descartes, Chromie, Alyria, the four have stood in the land of fire. Pure flames roast everything. The feeling of ultra-high temperature is like staying in the stars. Both Zyway and Descartes can be elementalized. Chromie is an ancient dragon. Only Aurelia is obviously not suitable for this extremely harsh environment. The flowers are withered and the skin begins to dry. 11 Way gave Aurelia an enchantment of constant temperature protection spells to help her get rid of the heat, in exchange for a polite thank you to the moon elf. I can only sneak into here, then I have to get in. Descartes sighed. The guardian in the courtyard is the keen hunter Shane Knox, who has 2 lava giant dogs. Smell sensitive. Is that guy who keeps patrolling like a pippy shrimp? Zyway pointed to the distance. Yes, Sean Knox is proficient in all kinds of traps. Two lava giant dogs can be reborn from the flames. If the fighting time is a little longer, there will be a whole flame siege. We must. Just in Descartes at the time of the smashing, Chromie did not hesitate to play a hourglass, locking the Pippy shrimp and his two dogs in time. This. Descartes is very hurt. You are the fourth law, you are powerful. Through the flame wilderness, I came to the spider cave of the. Then the flame lord Leolis, the flame giant Olis, the goalkeeper Bellic fell, and in the face of Zyway and his little friends, the ultimate territory of the flame, Diolos's lair finally opened. This is Severus, an artifact that is condensed by more than 30% of the origin of the fire. Only when holding the Saphras, Diolos is the true complete form, now appears in the temple of the earth. In front of him, he is still less than 60% of the peak strength. What appears in front of everyone is a huge ball of flame, like a real sun. The fiery flames roast everything, burning everything. The elemental source is the power of the world that only the element and the half can master. The only ending that mortals dare to touch is the complete death of the soul. If you want to steal the fire, you must have someone to make a sacrifice. Descartes is fearless. The will to go forward. I will abandon everything, assimilate with Saphras, so there will be two flame kings. Diolos will no longer be invincible. Tell me Didola, tell her, I. However, what made Descartes stunned was that a man grabbed him in front of him and touched directly on Sulphurus. 11 Way. What are you doing? I have lived in the fire source for 30 years, and I have a little bit of control to assimilate Saphras. How are you so reckless? Descartes said in horror. Chromie held down Descartes. Look at it with peace of mind. Your spirit is worthy of admiration, but water and fire cannot be tolerated. But now only Zyway, which controls a large number of water sources, can truly incorporate Saphras and the source of nearly 30% of its fire, which is the symbol of the power of the Flaming King, Diolos. The artifact was finally slowly absorbed by Zyway, and Zyway became the real thief at this moment. In front of the temple of the earth in the deep rocks, Diolos, the king of the invincible sorcerer, was suddenly stunned by the enemy. The flames of the eternal flame on the warhammer in his hand were extinguished. Saphras, someone stole my Saphras. Diolos turned abruptly. Conquering the deep rock of the continent is too important for him to say that there is no Saphras. The wind of the wind. The dungeon cage, the king of the wind, the support of the king of the wind, Olaxa, and the stone mother Sarah will never miss this opportunity, and he will not hesitate to cast a semi-god attack, and will wear the body of Diolos tightly entangled. The process of Zyway's absorption of Saphras was getting faster and faster, and the whole source of fire began to tremble, losing the source of the flame, and the fate of the entire source of the fire was only collapsed and destroyed. The fire giants and flame creatures who attacked the temple of the earth were also bleak, and the timing of the war reversal finally came. At this moment, behind the flame army, the dark elves emerged like tides. Under the control of the spider behind the spider, they launched an ambush on the exposed Diolos. You ants! Diolos flew, a huge spidering elf with his unburning warhammer. Sarah, Olaxa, you have forsaken the glory of the elements, and actually went to work with these ants. I, Diolos, will never give in. You are looking for a way out. No, get rid of him, fast. Stone Mother Sarah's face changed dramatically, and Olaxa also fled insanely. However, the two of them were the primary goal of Diolos, who was tightly held by one hand and could not walk open. Let's go to the same place. Let the flames of Saphras engulf the world. Diolos's huge body, and the source of nearly 40% of the fire he directly controlled, burst into flames, including the stone mother Sarah, the king of the wind, Olaxa, and the entire deep rock continent is burning in the flames of this world. Retreat. Only after the spider on the edge of the battlefield, Rose escaped, but she was equally seriously injured in the self-destruction of the burning of all the origins of Diolos, but it was only too lucky compared to the king and the stone mother who had fallen. Many Yes, the Stone Mother and the King of the Wind, which are already the end of the strong, are not spared. The flames, the earth, and the wind are mixed together and begin to spread wildly to the whole world. This is the scene that the Sci-fi for return to the deep rock continent. Too bad, Sci-fi shook his head gently. At this point, the four elements of the king were all fallen. Sci-fi is like a sun, madly attracting all the four elements of the surrounding source, whether it is flame or the earth or the sky, they are all rushing to Sci-fi, but even so, there is still a great part to return to the world. Between. In addition to the same situation of the origin of water in the Chaoshan War, Sci-fi can already foresee that the entire Orient world is about to usher in an elemental tide. Regardless of any intelligent race, the perception of the elements will be greatly enhanced, and the difficulty of casting will also decline, and a magical glory will soon come. That's the spider, Rose. She is also seriously injured. Ranger General Aleria's sharp eyes saw a huge figure on the edge of the battlefield that was quickly leaving. An old friend of ours is still in the hands of the spider. It is time to rescue her from the cage. Sci-fi and Chromie looked at each other and smiled. The two chased the spider and went away, orally. Ya is also closely following. It seems that I can't use it at all. With the noble spirit of sacrifice, he played a soy sauce ether pioneer. Descartes shrugged. It's time to return to the Thousand Towers. The army of the Dark Elves suffered heavy losses in this battle. They were supposed to be the fishermen who took the profit, and they won all the people, but they did not expect to turn into fly ash in the face of the self-destruction of Diolos. After the spider, Rose was filled with anger, but she did not find that she had become a prey. Mosso Blair, the ultimate nest behind the spider, the center of the dark area. 11 Wei looked at the magnificent and beautiful city under his feet, with a trace of unbearable on his face, but he was brewing a super spell in his hand. After absorbing sulfuras, the true strength of Sci-fi has surpassed Oryxa and Sarah. Now he is the supreme master of the entire Orient world, and there is no comparison with him. The next moment, the city of Mosso Blair collapsed in the shaking of earth-shattering, and the dark elves who stayed behind were trapped by invisible barriers, only to meet the death. In this doomsday scene, countless dark elves can only kneel down to pray after the spider, pray for her shelter. If the spider does not respond to then only the belief collapses, the strength is drastically regressed, and she will never be able to climb to the top without losing all believers. She can only shrink and become an underground mouse. The great arcanist Sci-fi, why did you destroy the Momosobrity city? I have never offended you. The spider finally appeared. Her appearance as a dark elf looks glamorous, but half the body has scars that are baked by the source of the fire and cannot be cured. After the spider, you betrayed Elena, and you are only the fate of death. Ranger General Aleria did not hesitate to raise the enchanted silver geek in the hand, and shot the revenge arrow against the spider. Ai Luna, after the spider, Rose smiled. Ha ha ha, what do you know? I didn't betray her, or she abandoned me first. When I was tortured and dying, I was crazy. Pray for her, and what am I waiting for? As the queen of the elf, the most devout Ai Luna believer, she has nothing to do with my experience, she also has my faith. The next moment, the dark power of horror emerged from the spider's body, and Sci-fi frowned. This is the power of chaos, and is homologous to the evil spirits. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 779. This is a force from outside the Orient world, and Siv seems to once again sense the existence of the invisible mysterious hand. However, the power of the spider after the spider is still lacking. 800 years ago, she was just an ordinary elf queen. Her true strength was still under the Oryxa, the king of the wind, and she was still seriously injured. Under the attack of the four elements of Sci-fi's constant use, the spider finally lost, and she did not choose to surrender, but with the eternal resentment against Ms. Elena, she completely degraded. After the spider died, the supreme cage could not be concealed. Ziwei easily broke the door to the high cage. The old friend of Ziwei and Chromie, the dark girl Elise, was saved. Is it really you, Chromie? Elise threw herself into the arms of the Dragon of Time. I really can't believe that you actually rescued me from the back of the spider. The spider has died, and it is not me who really saved you from the supreme cage, but he. Chromie passed all the information of the Battle of the Moon in the original fantasy to Elise. Ziwei, thank you. Elijah seriously took a sigh of relief to West. In the face of old friends, and also the first time to meet new friends, Ziwei is still very happy. He will support Eliskui, pointing to the magic cable in the foot of the city, said, the spider is dead. After the spider, the sins of these dark elves need redemption. There is already an elf who has been forgiven by Ms. Silvermoon, their skin has turned purple, and I am called the Night Elf. Iriskui, I hope that you can lead the dark elves to complete the redemption. It is your mission. Eliskui nodded seriously, this is my mission, the goal of my life. Ziwei sent the black scorpion to the dark areas, and they rejoiced with Elijah. When the spiders rebelled from Yangju Island, they took away the species of Iluna's sacred silver moon oak tree. I hope to bring it back to Yangju Island again. Silks Ziwei, Ranger General Aliria is full of respect. Ziwei opened the treasure house of Luo Si, and first felt the existence of the silver moon oak species. I am very glad that you are coming, earlier than I expected, a gentle voice echoed in the ears of Ziwei. Ziwei looked around and had changed an environment. This voice is exactly what he saw. Ms. Silver Moon, Elena. Ai Luna, did you bring me to Elent? Ziwei could finally ask this question. Yes, I sensed a soul outside of countless universes. This soul seems to save the fate of Orient, so I brought you to my world. Eluna is as gentle as a real mother. What happened to you? What kind of crisis does Orient have? Ziwei asked. The world of Elut is me, I am the world of Orient. Eluna finally unveiled this greatest secret. He is not an ordinary god, but a world itself, which can be described by the cosmic creator. In the thousands of universes, this is just a common small universe, but most of the universe itself has no creators, it is naturally generated, and my identity is somewhat special, and it is targeted by other special beings. That is the Chaos Legion, the destroyers and conquerors of the universe, who conquered and destroyed countless universes, and created powerful monsters on the bodies and ruins of these universes. The billions of glory owners are them. The most important enemy, this is the two camps. Chaos is eyeing Orient, and the billionaires have chosen to shelter Orient for a period of time. After the spider, Rose has been eroded by chaos. The first Fata is no exception, the world is at stake, and there is nothing to do, chaos suppresses me. So what should I do? Ziwei asked. Cultivate more gods for Orient, only united around the gods, and Orient has a battle. Eluna continued to confide, chaos is far beyond the billions of worlds, the power can only be projected, very small, not invincible. I have searched your memory and hope that you can forgive me. Elena gently apologized, you are more imaginative and creative than the Orient, you are better than I thought, now you are. It is the only hope to save the world of Orient. The only remaining power that I can control is in this oak seed. In the voice of Eluna, the oak seed changed and turned into a sacred, apricot-filled apricot yellow. The book is written with 3 slogans. There is a final process that is required for God, and that is the world's recognition and my recognition. Now I can't get out of trouble. I hope that you can act as my agent, train the seeds that are qualified to seal God, let them achieve true deities, and unite to resist the invasion of chaos, so that Orient can be saved. I can be saved. The apricot book scrolled into the hands of Ziwei. I hope you like it, like this duty. Ms. Silver Moon, the last question, my closest partner, Zero, can I live like a real person? Ziwei asked excitedly. After a moment of silence, Elena sighed, yes, as long as Zero can be on the throne, you can make up the last flaw in the ritual of the gods. She can't be an adult, but she can become a god. Wei took a deep breath and seemed to put down all the worries. Thank you, Ms. Yin Yu, you changed my destiny. I also like the journey of the world of Orient. I will do my best to complete your commission. Protect the world and guard everyone. My strength is exhausted and I can no longer communicate with the outside world. Iluna's voice gradually became smaller. Go to Wei, let go and do it, I trust you. Eventually the sound faded away and I couldn't hear it anymore. Wei looked back and has returned to reality, proving that this is not a dream. The silver-white oak species has disappeared, and there is a roll of apricot yellow book in his hand. It's time for it to return. Wei did not go to the violet, but went directly to the Smooth Plain, in the blue big temple. In the most sacred and most hidden hall, a dark-haired woman is lying quietly here. She is Zero. Wei carefully observed her for a long time, and finally made up her mind that he wants the zero-achieving magic goddess to really live, not as a smart chip. Wei has continuously infused the 4 elements of geothermal feng shui into the body of Zero. This is the high-order intelligent completion plan that was designed and planned at the beginning, and now it is shaped by Wei's understanding of the real God. With a perfect magical body. A month later, the girl in Wei's arms finally opened her eyes. Wei. It's me, Zero. The two embraced each other tightly. So happy, find a way to make me perfect. The Zero voice is as cute as soft marshmallow. Yeah, you will be the magical goddess of the Orient world, the unique glory, the joy of Wei comes from the heart. Control the 4 elements of the source. Zero is equivalent to the elemental gods. Do not believe, do not need the church, the source supports her godhead. Wei has already passed almost all of its elements to Zero. Now Zero controls the 40% of the origin of the entire Orient world, 20% of the origin of soil, wind, and water. It is a very scary amount. Moreover, with Zero horror calculation and coordination ability, it is easy to control the scattered elements in the world with the elements that are already under control. She can be said to be the first person of the well-deserved Orient world magic, only the future magic goddess, a ritual of the gods. When is the ceremonial ceremony for me? The little petite body lies in the arms of Wei, like a spoiled child. Now she is alive like a real person, full of freshness and freedom, almost greedy breathing. The air around Wei feels his breath. Of course, it is with me to achieve the great arcane master. Because only the achievements of the arcanist, you are qualified to stand with you. Wei politely looked at Zero. Mice is yours, Wei. We must be together forever, never separate. Zero raised the little finger, the clasp together. As a great arcanist, how can there be no floating city? Wei prides itself. Zero, let us join hands to build the first floating city of Orient. On the day of completion, you are the of the gods' time. The king of the wind, Oriksa, has fallen, and today the element of the wind has become a land of nowhere. Wei controls the shackles of the sky, which is equivalent to controlling the wind element plane. Building a floating city on the main material plane is not as easy as the wind element plane. If it is just a floating city that accommodates the size of the Violet Castle, it may not be difficult for Wei, but Wei's ambition is not limited to this step. From the design concept to the magic channel, to the power core, Wei and Zero inspired the collision, and designed a variety of programs. This is a busy and happy time, until the holy calendar 1789 at the end of November, everything is ready. During this time, the pattern of Orient has also undergone a lot of changes, the biggest change in Spania, through Christine's central contact, the Kingdom of France, the Church of the Morning, the Marine Church, the Power of Violet, launched a full-scale attack on the painful Queen Mesti, not only annihilated all the demons she had left, but also the captives of Mesti, who now fell into the hands of Eulizia and was held in strict detention. After this, The tyrannical Lord Razgada's offensive against France was like a storm, the war balance was finally reversed, and the demon Bingfen had advanced to the outskirts of Pali. On December 1, 1789, almost all of the people in Orient's magical world, who had a little reputation and status, received an invitation from the Violet Sylvester Frost, inviting them to attend in December. The festival on the 10th in Violet Island. Soon, an explosive news spread throughout the magic world. The founder of the arcane concept, the Westville Frost score finally broke through the 1 million mark, and will soon be the first in the world of Orient. Great Arcanist. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 780. Since the catastrophe of the catastrophe, the human side of the Orient has gone from one failure to another, especially when half a year ago, the strongest sacred Norman Empire defeated the Zingai fortress, and it was only able to trap the imperial capital. Another human power, France, has also fallen. Half of the mountain river, in a critical situation, the world is in a hurry. Although there are countless heroes in the process, in the eyes of many discerning people, the pattern of darkness dominates the world is inevitable. Many people choose the singer of wine to end the carnival before the death, and many smart people secretly choose to contact and rely on the Dark Council to want to integrate into this new order. In this dark cloud, the desperate moments of drowning almost everyone like the sea, the news of the promotion of the Arcane Master by the Westway Master is almost spread at an explosive speed, inspiring everyone's heart. Almost all the people who received the invitation did not hesitate to choose to leave their homeland, risking death on the road, passing through the country ruled by demons, orcs, blood, and undead, and trek to Violet, this the pearl of the Golden Sea, the place where the magical radiance shines, the last place of hope. This is a pilgrimage, and the last hope that the desperate people want to hold on. Many people surrounded by icy people are reunited here. They communicate, talk, and warm up, and Violet also gives them the warmest hospitality. Finally, on December 10th, the scheduled date came, and the invited guests entered the big arena of the Violet Academy. After a temporary expansion, the most magnificent building in Violet can accommodate 100,000 people, but today it is packed. The magicians from the whole of the Orient world, all the Violet teachers and students, as well as the Violet and the heads of Sicily, as well as the guests from other places, with different reasons, with the same feelings, look forward to the achievements of Zaiwei, the ceremony of the great arcanist. In the 9th magic time in the morning, Miss Nightingale and Jude in an elegant dress walked hand in hand to the center of the stage, and after paying tribute to all the guests, they started today's ceremony. Today, the Orient magic world gathered in the Violet, for a common reason, for a person who admired in the heart, he created the Violet, changed the magic world, changed the whole world. He advocated the idea of arcane and practiced it to bring magic into a new trajectory. In the past 3 years, the magical theory and the number of magicians of Orient have ushered in explosive development and growth, and numerous new theoretical practice products. He is changing the world at a speed visible to the naked eye, and he has made great contributions. He grew up at the speed of Super God, and fought against evil in this dark age. He defeated the undead king in Maginot, destroyed the deep sea queen in the endless sea, and solved the king of the evil spirit in the deep rocky continent. After killing the spider in the dark area, he won the victory of the Dark Council again and again, maintaining the last light and hope for all the intelligent races. He is our arcanist. All the people in the whole place stood up and sang with a uniform voice, Xavi Frost. The nightingale had an excited smile on his face. Next, please have 4 heavyweight guests to play. The 8th law, ether took pioneer Sir Descartes. He first discovered the mystery of the ether, and went deep into the 4 elemental planes to explore the research for hundreds of years, and played a role in defeating the war of the king of the evil spirits. Important, let us welcome with warm applause. After the return of Descartes, he went directly to the Tower of the Thousand Laws. The reunion of the young mage 200 years ago did not have much explicit emotions. The inside was already choppy. The relationship between him and Didura had been fermented for 100 years. It was already a matter of course. Today, Descartes, who appeared in front of everyone, wore a black tuxedo with the mature charm of a middle-aged man with a happy smile on his face. The 100,000 spectators present gave the new legendary magician a warm and intense applause. The second guest is the seventh law that we are familiar with, made the queen of the Emperor Dillala, who dominated the Devil's offensive at the most critical moment of the Holy Norman Empire and won the last for the empire. She woke up and laid out the line of defense. She created the school of architecture. She is also our 9-star arcane master. The applause of Didura is even more intense. For centuries, she has been the target of pride and struggle in the hearts of almost all human magicians. Today Didula is dressed in a bronze gown with a mechanical style, and her body is smashed. She was covered up, but her long hair was splayed up, with a touch of femininity in her dignified elegance. After she took the stage, she embraced Descartes with enthusiasm, causing many people to squat. For the feelings of Descartes and Excella, there is no cover. Many people already know their love story. The third guest is the Five Law, Lord of Change, Victor Hugo, who pioneered the school of change, turning France, which is almost a magical desert, into the second magical holy place in the Battle of Maginot. The army was completely resisted by the undead king. He is the pride of all our magicians. Victor Hugo is wearing a burgundy suit. His sturdy body looks more like a legendary warrior, but everyone will not forget his contribution to the Orient magic world. The order of the four guests is obviously from low to high, but the fifth method is in the third appearance. Then who will be the finale? Many people are full of expectation, and the Nightingale does not let people wait too long. Let us welcome the last mysterious guest with warm applause. She is the founder of Copenhagen, the founder of the school. She is the fourth law, the dragon of time, Ms. Chromie. Almost everyone is stunned, knowing that among the earliest four legendary magicians, the first Faded retired, the second Fagrodic went to other universes, and the third Fabades became an undead king. Only the fourth method is the most mysterious. In addition to her creation of the University of Copenhagen and the creation of the summoning school, many people know nothing about her. Even most of them do not know that this fourth method is actually a woman. The headmaster of Copenhagen, Hamer, is more excited. He has tears falling in his eyes. It's not easy. The fourth method has actually returned. In this most critical moment, this is definitely good news for Copenhagen. In the form of the Japanese elf, Chromie is wearing a bronze robes, and countless lines of time circulate on this robes. In fact, summoning spells is only a small hobby for her. Her most powerful field is always time magic. Her true combat power is also far above the other three legendary magicians, and Victor, Dixela, and Descartes have expressed enough respect for her. At this point, the legendary magician of the 8 titles in the history of the Orient world has appeared in the whole half, and everyone's expectation has been pushed to the highest level step by step. They are looking forward to the appearance of the arcanist Sci-fi, the glory of all the magicians. Let us shout his name in unison and welcome the appearance of the first great arcanist of Orient. Jude screamed with the voice of Gao Yan, knowing that Sci-fi is his mentor. What a glorious moment! What? All the people in the whole place stood up, sorting out the appearance, and under the guidance, they called for the arrival of Sci-fi with a uniform voice. In the next moment, the sky was discolored, time and space flowed, and the earth seemed to be shaking. Many people subconsciously applied observational inductive spells, and then their faces changed dramatically. Violet, the entire Violet Island is actually rising to the sky with a slow and unstoppable speed. This. In the next moment, everyone seems to be out of the seat, alone in the sky, watching the scene that is happening. The 23 square kilometer Violet Island has left the earth and the ocean, and has lost its gravity. Under the support of the four elements of the vast sea, the sky is rising smoothly. At this Violet event, countless unlicensed people were watching on the other islands of Violet. However, at this moment, everyone was stunned, and the Violet Island of Noda was soaring. This is the most amazing in the history of human magic fantasy. Excited and awkward floating city? It is necessary to know that the floating city in the earliest planned design is just the size of the Violet Castle. However, even the technical difficulties and the power provided by the customer service that can keep such a large place in the sky cannot be solved at all. So for thousands of years, the floating city was just an illusion, but did not expect to see the appearance of the floating city today, and it is such an unrivaled momentum. Violet Island flew directly to the sky above 800 meters high, and finally stopped slowly, accompanied by white clouds, and accompanied by the breeze. Numerous magical runes shine around the island of Violet, solidified into a space barrier, protecting the Violet from strong winds, and is also the most important part of the protection system. Countless people on the ground looked up at the huge floating city in the sky, and excitedly jumped and laughed, and the incoherent madness shouted, and the guests of the big arena returned to normal again, and in the middle of the stage, the young people they are already familiar with have stood there quietly with a smile. He wore a dark blue mage robe, dotted with countless white stars, like a map of the same star, giving people a vast and spectacular realism. He is the master of this floating city, the great arcanist Zaiwei. It's nice to meet everyone, I am your old friend, Master Zaiwei. Zaiwei finally spoke. To pay tribute to the Lord of the Arcane Masters, Abysva's speaker, the scholar, Anthony, first took off his hat and paid tribute to the West Victorian at the center of the venue. To pay tribute to the Lord of the Arcane Masters, including 4 legendary magicians, all of whom took off their hats and paid the most sincere and lofty respect to the great archer who created the miracle. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 781. At this time of crisis, all people of insight know that a leader is needed, and from the moment when the 4 legendary mages are taking off their hats, Zaiwei has undoubtedly become the leader of the entire Orient Magic Circle. For me, this is a memorable moment in my life. Zaiwei began his speech. Today, the entire Orient magician is united, for a common purpose, that is magic and Orin. A special future. In the past 3 years, the darkness has invaded and the world has been turbulent. The vast majority of human beings have become alien slaves. They live a miserable life without dark hopes. This is reality, and it is also the fate of us who cannot escape. I believe in you. Most people can't stand to continue to hide in the towers to study spells, sit on the days of compatriots dying. Since the publication of the original issue of Arcane, the development of the magic world has been 1,000 miles. We believe that if the world is peaceful, it only takes 20 years, 10 years, or even 5 years. Magic will change the world. This is productivity. Progress, this is an epoch-making innovation. Magic will become the manifestation of Orient, flying into thousands of households. Most of you will lead the trend of the world. But now the dark invasion, they want to completely destroy the human civilization, lose the soil. The magic world cannot exist alone. Our magician is not only a scholar, is a civilized researcher, but also a powerful warrior. Our heart lake among the rivers and lakes, we have the power to change the world, create the future, and destroy the darkness. Look, my compatriots, the darkest moment before dawn has passed, the first dawn is here, rising in the violet. The dark frenzy has invaded the whole world, but they have also exhausted the last potential. Now they are clawing, but it is also the last madness. We have the power, we guard the civilization, we must not allow the devil and other darkness. The race continues to ravage the Orient. This is the mission that the times have given us, and this is the historical responsibility we must bear. Use your heart to answer me, whether you are willing to fight for the future of magic, to declare the war to the dark. The voice of 11 Wei is very impassioned. This is the call of battle and the horn of the charge. We have the power, we guard the civilization, we create the future, we are willing to fight the dark, until the last moment, under the guidance of the 4 legendary magicians, everyone solemnly swears, their blood is lingering, and they become a peace ocean. Magic civilization, passing fire, magical radiance, always shine. As long as I am there are you, the future of magic will be more brilliant, evil will not win, the darkness will fail. 11 Wei made an invitation to move sideways. Here, I want to introduce you to a new friend. The whole scene was quiet, and among the 100,000 people, a black-haired girl in a white dress walked up the stage and came to Ziwei. No one spoke, even though they all wanted to know what the sacred girl was introduced to by the Grand Arcane Master at the crucial moment. The immortal true God has always been the most peak of Orient. There are only 2 true gods who have left traces in the history of Orient. That is the silver moon and the glory of the Lord. The dark turmoil after the catastrophe of the catastrophe, the facts it was also a brutal and fierce competition. 11 Wei gently applauded, this is my friend, Zero, she is also a member of the gods competition, and her priesthood is magic. In the face of this explosive news, the audience was at a loss. To know that the mystery of demigods, gods, and beliefs has been clearer through the Going with God paper published in the journal Arcane. Do you want the magicians to deliver faith and shape the magicians? Who belongs to the magician to fight against the darkness? Magic is one of the most powerful of Orient's extraordinary powers. The magical sacred position must be one of the most powerful priests of the whole of Orient. If there is a of magic, then even the Dark Council has the evil spirits and the immortal, magic. The world can also be invincible. Therefore, for the planning of Ziwei, almost everyone expressed their approval, but they looked at the stage with hesitant eyes. Does she really have the level of power of the demigod? Ziwei's hands and palms were slightly pressed, and the audience calmed down again. Today, not only is my ritual of the great arcane master, but also the ritual of the goddess of zero achievement magic goddess. Ziwei left the side with Zero, and then left the stage with the 4 legendary magicians. The words of Ziwei detonated the audience. It is necessary to know that the ritual of the gods is the last step of the road to the gods. It is the half-god that has reached all the conditions needed to seal the gods. The last step to be recognized by the world is to know that there is almost no magic. The teacher delivered the faith. How did the mysterious magic goddess come to this step? Only 4 legendary magicians, and a few Ziwei's cronies know the identity of this black-haired girl. Many people have finally found a miracle for Ziwei's 3 years from a magician apprentice to a great Archean. A reliable reason. Zero has no opening, she just began to fuse the 4 elements of the body. This is the last step of the gods. The elemental source evolved into magical power. The vast elements of the vast sacred to the extreme have become the ocean of horror. If it was not for Westway to make arrangements in advance, the manifestation of this element will cause irreversible trauma to the 100,000 people present. Even so, everyone is shocked, their heart lake is calling, close contact with this element, their affinity for the 4 basic elements is rising rapidly, and the magic is growing rapidly, which is undoubtedly attended. The welfare of the ceremony is also the reason why Ziwei convened them. Most people in this ceremony can at least be promoted to a level of magician, and some lucky people can even promote a big level directly. At this moment, the white and slender fingers crossed the mysterious trajectory in the air, and a complex and full of inscriptions appeared in front of everyone. The ultimate inscription of elements, almost all elemental school magicians shouted in unison, and in the latest issue of Arcane, Ziwei publicly published the far-reaching picture of the ultimate inscription of the elemental school's ultimate element of esotericism, which is also his satisfaction. The important reason for the great arcanist million arcane points. Although all elemental wizards are fascinated by this, at least to the level of the elemental masters can understand the ultimate inscription of the element, the legendary casters of the elemental school can get their own insights from the ultimate inscription of the element, analyze your own 9-ring legendary spells. However, this is not the end, and the second ultimate inscription has been condensed in front of 0. The ultimate inscription on protection. Bow scholar Anthony looked at the scene in front of him, knowing that his understanding of protective spells is second only to the first Fadala Fad, but there is still a manifestation of the ultimate mystery of this protective school. Most of them can't understand, this black-haired girl is far above him in protecting her magic. Then, the ultimate inscription of the void, the ultimate inscription of the dead, the ultimate inscription of summoning, the ultimate inscription of change, the ultimate inscription of the force field, the ultimate inscription of the composition, the inscription of the end of the soul, the strongest final mystery of the Magic 9 school, a lot of her fingertips flow. Even Chromie, Victor and Idola, the founders of the school, have to admit that the goddess of magic is more advanced than the school. Smiling and watching the scene, Ziwei is very happy, and finally came to today, he is proud of 0. The ultimate inscriptions of these 9 university schools were completed by Ziwei and 0. From now on, they are distinct from each other. I took out the apricot yellow book that Ms. Yin gave, and 11 Wei wrote it in the first column of the book with the word, the magic goddess 0. The next moment, the entire world of the Orient world retreats, the moon is empty, the stars' companion, time seems to stop at this moment. The first winner of the Fengshen competition finally appeared. Ulixia in the Notre Dame of Pili sighed with a sigh of relief, looking at the far south, 0, that has been standing in Ziwei, the mystery behind it. And the 7 abyss demon monarchs who saw this scene, the Lord Nicholas, the Lord of the Sun, Infinity, the Guardian of George, one by one with an unbelievable look, how could someone succeed in this time? At this moment, 0 has been the clock of the whole world, and the 9 ultimate inscriptions of magic are fully integrated into her body. The 4 elements of the source are also integrated into one, becoming the magic power of 0. Her body, like a blue smoke, goes straight into the sky. The fire of God is ignited on her soul. This is the fire of purification, the fire of sublimation, the fire of immortality, and all that belong to the common custom will be purified in this fire, leaving only the last part of God. 0's body suddenly expanded dozens of times. She smiled at the direction of Ziwei, but she was amazed by the whole of Orient who looked up at the starry sky at this moment. The next moment, her body straight into the starry sky. This is the first thing to do after becoming a true god, to establish their own kingdom of God. To pay tribute to the magic goddess, under the guidance of Ziwei, everyone sang again, and now they were excited to the extreme, as if they would jump out of their throat at any time, knowing that this is the whole of Orient. For the first time in the history of the world, the gods have witnessed the ritual. And the magic goddess is also the first time in history to ignite the fire of God and the success of the immortal existence. When she is immortal, the darkness over the world of the Orient world is broken, and the light of hope shines in the hearts of countless people. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 782. The Violet event at the end of the 1789 sacred calendar undoubtedly changed the pattern of the entire Orient world. A great arcane master, a magical goddess, and the darkness of the sea, never seeing hope, finally came to an end. Moment. Fastest update. For a time, even in the area ruled by the Dark Parliament, a large number of uprisings occurred. People's beliefs about tyranny and fear are on the verge of breaking. The times have changed. On the 20th of May 1790, Ziwei and a lady in a gold-colored white robe squatted in St. Peter's Cathedral. The cathedral of the once glorious Lord and the Lord of the Sun has now become a morning light. The land of the Lord. Ulysses took the holy cross on her chest and was reading the revelation of glory. Ulysses, everything is ready, I think I can start. Sci-fi nodded. Outside St. Peter's Cathedral, 100,000 most devout morning believers were praying to add the most devout faith to the ritual, the fire. I didn't expect you to become the agent of MSYNU, but I didn't even think that Silver Moon was actually the Orient world itself, Ulysses said with emotion, so, I can also call it Ilana. Daughter. I finally got to the step. I think you should be very happy. Zaiwei is sincerely happy for Eulizia. If it wasn't for her care, Natalia and Charlotte might have been deviled. Defeated. Zaiwei, I am thinking, if only, if I can meet you when you first came to the world, is it? Yulicha looked at Zaiwei with emotion, and the eyes were complicated. Feelings are revealed. Zaiwei's mouth stopped the words that Eulizia might say. It's not too late, right? We are an unbreakable alliance, the most intimate friend. Your friend? Yeah, Ulysses smiled. Ulysses opened the ceremonial ritual in St. Peter's Cathedral. In the prayers of the 100,000 morning devotees, she successfully ignited the fire and achieved immortality and became the morning goddess of the Orient world. On September 18, 1790, the French army and the devils fought in Orleans. The temple of this tyrannical church is also the home base of the demon army. The tyrannical Lord Rasgarda has recovered his victory, but his opponent is also more powerful. Although the morning goddess Eulizia did not participate in the war personally, when she was promoted to the true god, the power of the gods was powerful, and the morning devotees, the combat power has risen sharply. After more than a year of fighting, Natalia has grown to a terrible degree. She has already become a symbol of France. The goddess of Valkyrie in the hearts of the French people, her war power is growing stronger, in the Hall of the Spirit. Yingling has broken through 3,000 people. And almost all French people, especially those who don't believe in other deities and gods, have already delivered their faith to her, helping the most beautiful and most powerful king of France's history to be immortal. Come out, demon, today is the final decisive battle. I want to be Wang Long, my father Carlo, for my mother Olivia, for the 8 million French hatred that has been sacrificed since the devil's invasion. Natalia, who is the latest vow of victory, has issued a war declaration with the sword of victory in the hands of the Golden War. The vows have been improved many times, each time in order to keep up with Natalia's rapid improvement. The latest vows have just been completed, many of which are from the goddess of magic, a super artifact that brings her power to its peak. Now Natalia's real combat power can be said to be the most peak of the gods, and several times with the demon monarchs in the battle to get the upper hand. Even if the other party restores its full strength, it cannot be turned over. The tyrannical Lord Rasgarda finally appeared. His demon body had a flaw of more than 10 meters deep and unpredictable. It was the commemoration left by Natalia in the last battle. Natalia, your arrogance will make you suffer. We have already laid the final trap here, waiting for you to fall in. The tyrannical Lord Rasgarda waved his hand around the entire battlefield. The space has changed instantly. The endless abyss has come, and the land around the battlefield has been linked to the entire endless abyss. All the non-devil's combat power will drop sharply, and the demons will get faster recovery and longer endurance. However, Natalia, who saw this scene, was not afraid or retreating. The war in her eyes was even more hot. Go to hell, demon scum, I have already vowed to conquer the whole endless abyss. I didn't expect this day to come early, my loyal warriors, charge. 3,000 heroic knights followed their king, and their goddess, with the burning to the peak of the war, resolutely rushed into the deep red earth. After 4 magic hours, at dusk, the sun is like blood. Natalia's vow of victory in the hand of the sword, the head of the tyrannical Lord Rasgarda, although the armor broken, although exhausted, but this battle, finally won. Natalia suddenly looked back, and the French army lost more than half, but the devil has disappeared. My compatriots, we ushered in the final victory. Every inch of France's land has been restored, the first king's revenge, the love of the loved ones, the hatred of the people, has been shame, with the snoring of Natalia passion, there are 2,000 the soul of the famous war dead is summoned. At this moment, Ziwei in the sky is written in the third column of the apricot book, Nadia, the goddess of war. On February 14, 1791, the Sacred Naga Army, as well as the Marine Church believers and the Arcane Corps, launched the general attack on the Lord Nicholas. The family retreats like a tide, and the blood-stained scales of Freya hold the blue sea, and the city bow stands proudly in the middle of the battlefield. Nicholas eventually dies under her arrow. This is her war, this belongs to her Rongguang. The fourth column of the Feng Shen Bang is also filled, the sea goddess Freya. The sacred calendar August 12, 1791, Berlin, once the capital of the Rhine Union, once the prince of the Rhine Union Reinhard returned. The undead dragon on the sky, the undead army on the ground, squatted collectively, and turned to the death ruler. Reinhard looked down at the vast land, and his heart was ups and downs. The fifth column of Feng Shen Bang has its own master, Reinhard, the of death. On the 18th of May, 1792, the latest Midsummer Night Music Festival, the dark frenzy that swept the entire Orient world has become a thing of the past. The orcs have once again been driven back to the Hullen Prairie, the goddess of war Natalia. The endless abyss is being raided, and peace has become the mainstream of the world. After the robbery, countless people are so passionate about peace. They sing and dance, remember with music, and vent to celebrate. Sophie, the master of music, succeeded in getting enough faith to ignite the fire and fulfill the goddess of music. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 783. His Excellency Archer, I sincerely invite you to come to Yangju Island. The elves will soon usher in the most terrible fate. I can only ask you for help. On the floating city of Violet, Ziwei read the letter and looked at the little white elf in front of him. You are the sister of Aliria, Wenlesa. The moon elf quickly nodded. My sister asked me to ask for help. Ziwei nodded thoughtfully. He seemed to realize what, and his attitude was so solemn and solemn. We will start. The next moment, the two appeared in the eternal mystery of the Yangju Islands. This lock was blessed by Ms. Yunyu. Only the people who were authorized by the Elf Queen could enter and exit. The Ranger General Aliria was very few. An elf that can enter and exit freely. However, this enchantment did not exist in front of Ziwei. He easily passed through a lot of fog, and guided by Wenlesa to the territory of the Windrunner family. However, the scene that I saw was that the members of the entire Windrunner family had already put on their armor. They were sorting out bows and other weapons and seemed to be ready to go. Sister, what happened? Wenlesa excitedly stopped another moon elf. She had rare white gold long hair and a pair of long legs. Aurelia is being held in the palace. I am going to save the big sister, said the Windrunner family member named Sylvanaz. There is the royal palace. Yanjiu Hall, Ziwei pointed to the far north, where there was a familiar and terrible atmosphere, which suppressed the silver moon Ms. Elena, the most terrible chaos in the entire multiverse. The breath of the Legion. Yes, the Queen is already crazy. She is summoning a group of horrible outsiders. These outsiders have shredded countless compatriots. The half-gods in the forest have launched a counter-attack under the call of the Priestess of the Month. Now the situation very bad, Sylvanaz said anxiously. The big sister Aliria is still in the hall of Yanjiu. I have to rescue her. A super-strong space portal has been established, and members of countless chaotic corps have crossed the space of countless universes and descended to Orient. This is the biggest disaster predicted by Ms. Yinyu, and 11 Wei has been preparing for the scene for the past 2 years. This is not only the disaster of the elves, but also the disaster of the whole of Orient. I will summon the reinforcements. Ziwei took out the apricot book, and the 6 names on it began to shine. The next moment, Natalia and her heroic army appeared here. Natalia looked excited. I finally got to the final battle? It is enough to fight the battle of destroying the earth, it is really looking forward to it. After the achievement of the goddess of war, the priesthood is affecting her character, and war and battle have become her instinct. Then the Natalia army went all the way to the Yanjiao Hall, and the rangers of the Windrunner family fought side by side with them. Reinhardt, the of death, ordered his undead army to appear. The moon elves who liked life obviously did not like these undead army. Reinhardt took on a single direction. The morning goddess and the ocean goddess also appeared with their most elite army, and the gods of Orient were united in everything, in order to cope with the invasion of chaos, for the fate of Orient. The musical goddess Sophie personally played the passionate victory battle song. The four gods' subordinates and the rebellious elves united to repel the scattered chaotic army and eventually completely surrounded the Yanjiao temple. Tulafat, it turns out that you opened the portal. Ziwei saw the first Fatatafat at the huge portal, but his blue eyes had already turned into a green evil. Ken. The wise man, Falraz, who has been missing for a long time, also appeared here. Apparently he also went to the Legion. Ziwei finally saw the Queen of the Elf, the successor behind the rose, light in the light Ashera, a queen who loves vanity and is full of curiosity. Her predecessor is unable to resist chaos. Going wild, she became a direct lead for the invasion of the Legion. This is the unavoidable final battle. It has been doomed since the moment that chaos stared at Orient. The fierce battle was enough to destroy the land, but it was confined to the elf lock. Perhaps when the Silver Moon Ms. Elena built this lock, she thought of this possibility. In the end, the royal palace fell, the first Fatat died under the strongest strike of Ziwei and the magic goddess Zero, the portal finally closed again, and the devil who had come to the world of Orient also joined forces with the gods. It was beaten back to the twisted void, and it was impossible to return to Orient again for a long time. Alyria was rescued by Ziwei, and she held the Silver Moon Elegy, and she vented her anger in the members of the Chaos Legion. Ashera, you destroyed the entire Elven kingdom, and almost destroyed the entire Orient world. The majestic month of the priestess came forward and sentenced the former queen to the crime. You will be eternal. Let go of the Elven kingdom and suffer eternal pain. Even the spiders couldn't resist the chaos, and the new queen couldn't do it naturally, so Ziwei came forward. Let's give her to me. The priestess of the month looked at Ziwei seriously. She already knew the identity of her actress, so she nodded to Ziwei. In the light of the light, the elf queen became the captive of Ziwei, and it would be a terrible fate to meet her. Because the power of chaos has invaded the queen, she will be the best material for chaos to study chaos. Let us join hands and wake up our mother god, Ms. Silver Moon Elena. When all the secret hands of the Chaos Legion in the Orient world were removed, the strength of Ms. Yenyu is gone. The silver moon in the sky shines with warmth, like the mother's arms. The bright moonlight purifies the elf kingdom destroyed by the battle, the branches re-emerge, the earth covers the green, the lake is clear again, and everything is restored to calm. Orient is safe, and Orient is completely free. The gods will travel to the kingdom of God, and their true bodies cannot be active in the main material world for a long time. Next will be the era of mortals. Next will be the brilliant Arcane Age. The radiance of Arcane will shine throughout the Orient. The empire of Arcane is established in the hands of Ziwei, and the Arcane starship sails. One day, Orient will also cross countless universes, and chaos will usher in the final battle. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 784. Since the six gods under the leadership of the great arcanist Ziwei in the Yanjiao Hall and the elves hand in hand, the invasion of the Chaos Legion has passed for 20 years, the era of peace is coming again. The light of the arcane shines throughout Europe. Lent, the ever-changing moments of change are taking place. After the ultimate decisive battle, the Divine Age changed the arcane, and it is now 21 years of the arcane calendar. Violet, the first floating city of Orient, founded by the great arcanist Xiwei, the headquarters of the Arctician Association, where the Violet Academy is located, has become the most shining focal point of the Orient multiface. The golden morning light shines on the soft bed. Since the dawn of the goddess, the sun's glory is no longer dim, but full of warmth and hope. The adolescent girl Athena stretched out and relaxed, and let go of the big white bear pillow waiting for her, and it was a new day, full of vitality. After getting up, Athena used a set of beauty cleansing care in front of the mirror, which was developed by the famous 9-star arcanist, the master of the astrologer Christine, for female magicians and nobles. It was licensed by the Arcane Patent Institute and earned a steady stream of wealth for the master of the stars. Athena is an 18-year-old girl with impeccable perfect looks, posture, and instrumentation. From the age of 15 to the Violet Academy, she has grown into a 6-ring magician and a Samsung Arcane. A new generation of stars of the Violet Academy. In fact, Athena is quite inferior to those of the Violet Academy in terms of hard work and aggressiveness. Her ability to achieve such outstanding results is inseparable from her parents. Athena, an 18-year-old girl, hides the surname and family into the genius of the Violet College. Her life is a shocking secret. Because her mother's name is Natalia Bonaparte Charlie, the Emperor of the French Empire, the war goddess of Orient. Her father's name is Sivy Frost, the chief arcanist, the pioneer of the Violet, the pioneer of the Arcane, and the well-deserved leader of the entire Orient magic world. As the daughter of the gods and the great Arcane, she is born differently and naturally, with a strong elemental affinity. In fact, the average level of effort of her students in Violet has now at least completed the challenge of the master. But Athena is not ashamed in her heart. She is not so keen on magic research, although she is very interested in all kinds of novel magic products. There is only 1 month left before leaving Violet. Athena is very fond of the last good time, because her adult ceremony is 1 month later, and that day will be the time when she crowned the second emperor of the French Empire. Natalia's true body has already entered her realm, and now the emperor who appears in front of everyone is just one of her heroic incarnations. For the inheritance of a huge empire, Athena has no interest. She is still a beautiful girl under the age of 18, how can she use her terrible and arduous government to destroy her own cardamom? But this is her unshirkable responsibility, because her mother has been appointed, and her father has no objection. This matter is doomed to change. Athena wears the latest style of Violet school uniforms, which is a school uniform that will be very satisfying even with the most discerning eye. All of the high-end clothing companies throughout Europe will treat the Violet school uniform/magic robe tendering conference every 3 years as a decisive battle, as these costumes will soon be popular throughout the Orient continent and even other remote planes. A lot of classmates greeted Athena enthusiastically along the way. She was very popular as a result of her excellent performance and appearance. She is said to have been selected by the current Violet student president Scarlet and will soon be the 3rd member of the Violet Academy. As the president of the student, Scarlet is the 6th apostle of her father. She has the origin of ice and snow. Now she is a legendary caster and an 8-star arcane master. After graduation, she will stay in school and teach as a professor of elementalism. The glory of the first student president of the Violet Academy, Esmeralda, shines even more. 8 years ago, after she graduated, she went to the New World to participate in exploration and pioneering. It is said that I personally killed 3 original gods and established a branch of Violet. Now she is already a 9-star arcane master. It is said that she will soon enter the Arcane Review Club, and the future is bright. Athena is very interested in being a student president, but unfortunately she did not have this opportunity. After a month, she will become a female emperor. This is a sad story. After completing the morning course, I easily answered several questions raised by Professor Lista. In the admiration of the students, Athena went straight to the Morning Star Tower and the headquarters of the Arcanists Association. It has been expanded and rebuilt 8 times. Although it is still a tall tower on the outside, it has more than 20 half-planes and planes fixed inside. If you just walk around, you may lose it and find the right path. Athena came directly to the top floor through the transmission array, belonging to the space of the chief arcanist Zyway. In these 2 decades, the 4th Facromi, the 5th Favik and the 7th Fadi, he has reached the 1 million arcane points required by the Arcanotians, and has become a respectable, great arcane master of the world. Just entering it, I saw that, and when Lisa, Athena's original good mood is not so sunny. Is the daughter of Alfred IX, the Princess of Austria. After the catastrophe of the sun, the natural disintegration of the Holy Norman Empire, the territory of the Alfred family is only a small piece around Vienna. The guardian, you are also unfortunately succumbed to the madness before the devil's demise. But this does not hinder the Alfred family's centuries-old heritage. The princess named is just 20 years old. He has become a master of the 8 rings magic, or a 6-star arcane master. Now he is a great arcanist. Your 8th apostle. The other Wenlesa is a purebred moon elf. Since the final battle, the elves have stopped relocking the country and began to walk out of the lock and human communication. The younger daughter of the Windrunner family abandoned the ranger's path and began to learn arcane magic. Her talent was very high, and she soon grew up to be a master of magic, and by virtue of her relationship became the 7th apostle of the great arcanist Lord Zyway. In fact, both Princess Sissy and Moon Elf Wenlesa are very popular at Violet College. If they are easy to go, Athena is willing to be friends with them. However, the true thoughts of the 2 Baichi hearts are clear. They do not want to be friends with themselves, but want to be their own little mother. Regarding the parents, Athena has a lot of people who want to vomit but can't vomit, especially after she grows up and is sensible. One of the most undisputed points is undoubtedly the chaotic relationship between men and women and the relationship between women and girls. After the 6 gods in the early days of the gods, there was a rumor that the 5 goddesses were all tainted with the Lord of the Arcane Masters. Some even swear by the death of Reinhardt, who seems to be a good base for the Arcane Master. Friends. Later, according to the secret investigation of the detective Athena, her face was black, and this rumor seemed to fit the reality. Natalia, the goddess of war, was her mother. Both parents held a grand wedding at the Palace of Versailles after the final battle. It was the wife of the father. The morning goddess Eulysia is superficially a good friend with her father, but every meeting that Athena sees has a tacit understanding and style that cannot be expressed in words. The sea goddess Freya is the father's 3rd apostle. It is also a strange woman who dares to love and hate. The entire Ocean Church, even the most ordinary little priest, knows the story of her goddess fanaticism of the arcane master. Magical goddess Zero is the most mysterious yet powerful god. She spent 20 years building a whole set of magical networks throughout the Orient continent, which greatly reduced the difficulty and promotion difficulty of the magician. She and her father, the relationship is the closest, even higher than life and death. The music goddess Sophie, which was even seen by Athena, she did not avoid the close relationship with her father, and she could not hate her at all. Because Natalia is completely an unqualified mother, Athena was born with almost a lot of Charlotte Auntie and Sophie Auntie. She often saw her mother and 2 aunts lying in a small child. In bed, sometimes my father will join. This is where Athena is the most powerless to spit. If the father is a little romantic, the mother is no exception. It is really a generation of empresses. The mother of Athena knows that there are 2 aunts, and the green dragon, Ilia, also expresses Lucia. It is said that Princess Lucia and her mother were still rivals. I didn't know how to get to a bed later. Her mother Natalia was completely a frenetic lace, and even subconsciously moved herself to the feet. After the big Athena, she quickly fled the parley father to study here. Hello, Athena, the three new apostles of Zyway greeted each other. The subtle politeness was alienated and hateful. Athena seemed to be completely in the Shura field, and he became one of them. Athena, come in. Suddenly there was the voice of the great Arcanate in the passage. Under the gaze of the princess and the moon elf Envy, Athena walked into the room of the Arcanist. My daughter is getting more and more beautiful. The big arcane master behind the table has 2 feet on the elegant and elegant table. The tone is scornful. Is it a lot of love letters recently received? Athena took a deep breath. The chief arcanist in the eyes of the outsider, the most respected arcane leader and the savior of Orient, who knows that he is such a young man who is not serious. Yes, the father who is already in his early 40s seems to be a young man. Standing with himself is a brother or sister and even a younger brother. There are definitely many people who believe that if the mother who is not old, why can the father such a foul? Can you manage the 2 small hooves outside the door, and they will fight each other, and actually treat me as a rival? Athena angered on the table, Mr. 11 Way, Chief Lord Arcane Master, my father. Ha ha ha, Zyway ha ha laughed, this is really a wonderful trouble. Athena, you are also an adult, have you considered talking about love? Whether it is male or female, alien or god, daddy all support you. How do I have such a wonderful father like you? Auntie Athena lowered her head in powerlessness and completely lost all her strength. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 785. You and Sophie told me that your enthronement ceremony is already in the midst of intense preparations. Zyway turned to the topic, go to the Emperor's promising job, girl. Right, you are Aunt Meryl. After 3 days of achieving the 9th law ceremony, you'd better attend. It's only after 20 years that a new legendary magician has emerged. This is because the standard of the legendary magician is also high, not only to be able to display the 10-ring sacred spells alone, but also to create magic. A new school is carried forward. In these 2 decades, Meryl's exploration of the electromagnetic field is very deep. It not only demonstrates a large number of theories in the electromagnetic field, but also develops many very practical spells. More importantly, the electromagnetic field is the world of magic. Magic, the most important area of life, and countless magical creations that have changed the way of life. Tram, radio, submarine cable, telephone, television. The unstable and violent thunderbolt has become a stable and powerful source of energy that people can command. Electromagnetics have also been separated from the elemental school and become a new and very powerful magic school. Meryl also won the full vote in the legendary election meeting of the Arcane Review Committee at the beginning of this year, and was crowned the throne of the 9th law. Her legendary title was created by Zyway himself. Although she wanted to give her the title of Thunder King, she finally pressed the idea of ridicule and took an electromagnetic dominance. In the Arcane Hall, where only 300 people witnessed in the Morning Star Tower, Meryl, wearing a light green robes, smiled and took a platinum ring shining from infinite lightning from the 8th law Descartes. The legendary magical object created by the 4 great archons is also the glory badge awarded to the 9th act. Meryl has the long blonde hair of the Bonaparte family. After 20 years, she has already faded away from the green, but she still maintains a strong book, and her poetry is self-satisfied. Unrecognizable intellectual beauty. After a gentle and courteous politician in the same position, Meryl's calm face finally showed a hint of excitement. She quickly came to the exclusive space belonging to Zyway. She asked him fulfill the solemn commitment made 20 years ago. Xavier brother, 20 years have passed, I have reached the goal you and I have agreed, then should you fulfill your promise. Meryl's chest is slightly ups and downs, her eyes full of excitement, anticipation, and tenderness. I knew you worked so hard, I should target the Arcanist. Zyway shook his head gently, his eyes filled with gratification and appreciation. He always thought that Meryl's love for himself was only a pale and simple good feelings. As time goes by and people grow up slowly into memories of youth, but did not think she used time to prove her mind. My arcane score has reached more than 600,000. Even if it is a big Arcane, I believe it will be achieved within 10 years, Meryl raised her head proudly, her eyes full of confidence. Love is selfish. I admit that I am a shameless greedy person. I have a sincere love, but I always want more. Ziwei walked to Meryl and whispered softly. Love is great. Ziwei brother is a fraternal person in my heart, loves all kinds of excellent and colorful people, loves freedom and loyalty and struggles to fight these beautiful qualities, and loves the whole of Orient. Meryl bravely walked to the front of Ziwei, and slowly invested in his arms. I never want to monopolize your love, we have already been extraordinary, and there is no need to use the ethical standards of mortals to be the yardstick of the heart. In addition to arcane magic, the only love in my heart is you, Ziwei brother. In the face of Meryl's bold true confession, Ziwei answered her with a warm hug. His Orient time not only saved the world, but also changed the life track of countless people. Meryl is undoubtedly one of the people who have the most influence. It's hard to never give up, and it's hard to be passionate and affectionate. However, Ziwei will not disappoint Meryl's love. He will use his heart to manage this feeling, 1 year, 10 years, 100 years, forever. Ziwei wants to invest in magic research or space exploration. One of the words is too tiring, and he has already carried a lot of affectionate beauty. Above the astral star shines with one of the most embarrassing stars. This is a new star with a lifespan of 15 years, an artificial star, and a mage tower and home of the astrologer Christine. Like the original Meryl agreement, Ziwei also had an appointment with Christine called the Star Warlock. This day, the same is coming. Christine's star blood has already been activated to the extreme. She spent 15 years observing the law of sentimental astrology, and now she has fully integrated it and achieved the great career of the great star. This is a horror career that can display the 10-ring sacred magic spells. It is a perfect career with the strongest power under the gods, and the battle style is so gorgeous that it can't be described in words. It is also a lofty arrogance. The promotion is more difficult than the super hidden profession of the day. With Violet now the position of the greatest magical sanctuary of the multi-positional plane of the whole of Orient, Christine has only trained 13 astrologers in the past 20 years, and the strongest one has just been promoted to the 7th. Remember the Phillips family's 40 limits, Christine in the stars shines with the brilliance of the stars. The silver-haired beauty of the mortal beauty is completely integrated with the stars. Her beauty is already the beauty of holiness, the beauty of speechlessness. My first half of my life has always been shrouded in great horror. The powerlessness dominates me all the time. Christine looked back and smiled, and poured out the country. Ziwei, is your encouragement to me at my most difficult time, and help I embarked on the most correct path. Da is not thankful, can only repay in person. Christine shyly bowed his head, and the casual gentleness once again surprised Savi. Christine, the beauty debt of my body has been carried over, and I have always owed it to any of you. Don't say it again, since there are so many. Are you missing me? Christine said domineeringly, the men of the whole world of Orient, you can make me look into the eye. If you refuse, I am not want to be single forever. This reason is very good and powerful, and Ziwei is speechless. Athena finally ended her studies in Violet early, returned to the imperial capital of Paris, Pili, just entered the Palace of Versailles, and saw Aunt Sophie and Aunt Charlotte. However, she was surprised to close her mouth, because the two aunts in front of them all had big stomachs, apparently have been pregnant for a long time. Do I have a brother or sister? The music goddess Sophie gently stroked her high abdomen. Ziwei named her as a muse, saying that she can become the literary goddess of Orient in the future. Charlotte and Athena warmly embraced. I am also a daughter in my stomach. Ziwei named her Alto Laya. Ziwei said that she might grow into the Lord of Glory and Order in the future. How are all daughters? Athena said with some dissatisfaction. People obviously want a younger brother. Yes, you are obviously pregnant, I am going to have an adult ceremony, why is my father not here to accompany him? He is every day so busy. Zai Wei went to the dark area to visit you, Alice Quia, and she will soon ignite the fire and realize the goddess of redemption. Right, she will also have a priesthood, that is dance, Sophie explained. I saw Elise Kui dancing last time, Sophie accompaniment, but that is the most beautiful audio-visual enjoyment of Orient, Charlotte whispered to Athena, you and Sophie should be that night pregnant. I am really convinced, Athena said helplessly, who will tell me later, Ms. Silver Moon Elena also has a leg with her father, I will definitely believe it. Forget it, I will go to the Hall of the Spirit to see my mother. Natalia's kingdom of God is clearly known as the Hall of the Spirit. It is said that all the most brave warriors who died in the war will be taken to the Hall of the Spirit by the Valkyrie, where they will enjoy eternal life. This is basically the fact that these attracted spirits are not going to die, but they will be revived at the moment the sun rises. So these undead heroes are basically drinking and fighting to die every day. The next day they continue to drink and fight to die. Athena hates these rude guys. Through the various areas of the Hall of the Spirit, I finally came to the Golden Temple where Natalia was, and Euryxia from the morning of the goddess was in the door. The two goddesses were talking elegantly, but Athena saw the mothers. The hand was on the shoulders of Eulysia, who was unruly, threatening the towering of her chest. Athena is black in front of me. I really shouldn't have any expectations for my mother. I'm afraid there are only two things in her mind, that is, war and battle. My little cute, are you finally willing to come back to my country of God? Natalia said with excitement. Mom thought it was completely abandoned by my Athena. If it weren't for Eulysia, Athena would break out. Who would make you sleep when you were not rules, and it would be hard for me to explode. Sophie auntie and Charlotte aunt are pregnant. I will have 2 more sisters soon. My father seems to have booked a priest for them. Athena wants to vomit. Father, you, is it really shameful to make all of your family a god? My little cute, guess what your father has booked for you? Natalia asked with a smile. The Pantheon is under construction, and your throne has been booked as well, Eulysia reminded, a very important priest. Important priesthood? Will not be the goddess of life? This is completely against me, and should be reserved for the elf. What other important priesthood? Athena puzzled. The king of the gods, the king of God. Natalia finally unveiled the mystery. The French emperor is just a small springboard on the road to God. I will listen to your lovely mother in the future. How is it possible? Athena was completely blinded. My mother appointed me to be the emperor of France. My father appointed me to be the king of the gods. What else can I do? I am also desperate. I can only read 2 poems at this time.